Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video. Today going to be focusing on something CSGO related, and it's a topic that's probably been a little bit talked to death. I know I'm fucking tired of talking about it, but more developments have happened in the last, a few days since we did By the Numbers, and it is about the implosion of Immortals and seemingly a position where we're going to see Bolts and Steel potentially lose their ability to compete at the major because it looks like we're going to have 3 players leave Immortals, not just one. Now, there's lots to get into. I won't bore you by sort of framing it all with the context. I think by now, if you're watching this video, if you're watching my channel, you know what happened with Immortals and the whole forfeiting a map and KNG threatening to kill FNS and all this ridiculous shit. Honestly, it is a ridiculous set of events, and I'm at a loss to really think of anything even close to something similar to this in Counter-Strike history. I mean, I can point to the odd one story. Indeed, I think in 2014, there was a LAN where one of Fallen's teams got disqualified after an altercation or something. We'll probably talk about that a little bit on By the Numbers, but honestly, just this whole series of events, it's just unbelievable, really, that we could sort of sit here and have to talk about this, where Counter-Strike is in 2017. But anyway, so after we did By the Numbers, me and Thorin were talking about it, and I said, I think KNG's days are numbered in the team. I think his position has become untenable. I think his behavior on social media has been unacceptable. His refusal to apologize to FNS, who he threatened, is ridiculous. Doubling down on that is absolutely insane. When you then triple down on it, there's just, I don't know what to say. I mean, there's a lot to be said for the power of an insincere apology if you want to keep your job. I'm sure many people will be able to give you this life advice. Sometimes you've just got to apologize even if you don't mean it. This is the world we live in. Occasionally you're going to get caught doing something or you're going to get called out for something you did or something you said, and you're going to have to say, yeah, I'm sorry, and you're thinking, I'm not all that sorry. So even if you believe it's in really poor form for FNS to tweet out the implication that you were out drinking the night before or whatever, you don't get to fucking threaten to kill him, and you certainly don't get to stomp around a hotel saying you're going to have it out with him, and FNS has to be kept at a reasonable distance from you. To make sure that an altercation doesn't break out. To double down on saying that is okay is absurd. And you should have, KNG should have apologized. Anyway, so while we were doing the podcast, Immortals and CLG were playing, and I said how ridiculous it was that KNG had stoked the flames of this game by saying, oh, I can't wait to hit CLG today. I'm guessing poor Google Translate, but the implication being that I really want to beat them because of FNS's involvement and everything else. So you had all this unnecessary tension to the game, and then it turned out KNG wasn't playing in the first map. They were using their coach, Zach, and of course Immortals lost that map. So I was like, well, clearly KNG isn't going to be involved in the team anymore. Then they subbed him in, bizarrely, and he was playing with ping issues. And Immortals eventually won. They overcame CLG. FNS had a pretty poor game and tweeted about it, saying it was all his fault. Brazilian fans were loving it. Not all of them, but again, that hard little core unit that we know about. And KNG seemed to be reveling in it as well, tweeting out some fucking memes and whatnot. So again, it seemed very strange to me that any of this was happening. My assumption was that KNG wouldn't be involved in the team until some sort of punishment had been announced. So to see him in action as if nothing had happened was very strange. And lo and behold, it came out that he was supposed to be suspended. Well, how do we know this? Because shortly after that game, boom, he was out of the team. I mean, it happened pretty much that night. I was watching it unfold in real time while I was having a beer. And yeah, just basically what happened here was, after playing in that game, and supposedly wasn't authorized to do so, you can see here Noah Winston said that KNG was under internal suspension and was therefore not authorized to play for the team. He shouldn't have been involved in the game. And Noah, the owner, went on to say as well that you lose the right to represent Immortals if you do not uphold their standards, which is fair enough. I mean, that's how it works for any employer, right? And certainly if you're a brand, you have to adopt the brand values. So after that happened, KNG said, yep, I'm no longer part of Immortals. Thanks to all the support during this time. We all make mistakes, and I am no different. Ever since I joined Immortals, I made a lot of mistakes, but life goes on. Those who know me know I try to be happy, even if you do not believe it. I am calm, and I know I will be back. So this comes as well with him not being able to compete at E-League because he couldn't get a P1 visa in time, and he wasn't allowed to compete because he would have only had a tourist visa, which wouldn't have made him eligible. I believe that it was a blessing in disguise, honestly, that he didn't go to E-League. There was just too much attention around the team and everything else. And out he goes. Now, look, it was super predictable that was going to happen. KNG's days were numbered the minute you refuse to apologize for threatening another fellow professional player. There's just no place for that. There's no, you can't, look, I love a bit of fucking trash talk. I love a bit of spice to the games. You can't threaten a fucking, look, even if we take kill to not mean kill literally, all right, I'll give you that benefit of the doubt even. You still went round a hotel looking to beat up another professional player. That was your master plan to fix the issue surrounding the team. I can't believe there's not an apology forthcoming. Now, here's what I did say, and this is what I speculated, and this is what I got wrong. I thought there's no way Henny and Lucas would be so fucking stupid as to leave Immortals to go play with this guy, right? And basically have to hope that an organization is going to pick him up and pay the same salary, and they're going to take the major spot with him, and they've got to pick up two other players, one of which will be FNX, because obviously all of these fucking wannabe fucking gangsters in Counter-Strike are all going to fucking play with each other, you know what I mean? Brilliant. Can't imagine why an org wouldn't want to take that fucking headache on, you know what I mean? So they're really rolling the fucking dice if they do that, right? Like, because you need an organization who's going to be willing to pay you a salary that matches Immortals or is pretty close to it, because that's the standard that you become accustomed to. If anything, your stock should have gone up because you just reached a major final. You also need an organization that's going to be fairly skilled in some of the travel issues that are likely to come up, like visas and all this. So you want an experienced organization because you're Brazilian and you're going to be traveling and trying to get into the United States, which can be problematic sometimes. So which big organization is going to take a gamble like this, especially with all this negative publicity? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't see anybody who would be willing to do it. A smaller, shady organization who don't give a fuck about brand values, they just want to get their name out there. Sure, yeah, absolutely, but you're not going to make the money. What are they going to do? Like, just send you in the major and then part ways? It's not a long-term sustainable solution. The only thing I can maybe think of is that you trick some of these idiots that are out there, like the venture capital crew, people who are like, the Overwatch League sounds like a great investment for 20 million. Maybe you can trick one of them into being your CS team, and perhaps that's plausible. But I know, again, from swimming in those circles, those people care more about brand value and behavior than the esports organizations we've got now endemically. So I thought, it's just not going to happen. Well, reports came out, as they tend to do, because there are no secrets in esports, that Henny and Lucas requested to leave shortly after KNG departed from the team, and that they're happy to go out. And this was reported on ESPN Brazil, so no reason to doubt it. It's certainly not been challenged by anyone. The players haven't said that this isn't true, you know. So this is a ridiculous situation, you know. I've got to say, through all of this, Steel and Bolts have carried themselves with this dignity. You know, they've been the ones that were there on time. They've been the ones who have tried to walk that middle ground, which is incredibly difficult, of trying to say, look, we understand there's a problem with some of our teammates, but they're still our teammates. It's a really different ground to occupy, and I think they've done it pretty well, all things considered. You know, they've said the behaviour is not acceptable, and they wish that they could behave differently, but they've also said they're still our bros, you know, and we think we can work through these problems. That's what they said in the E-League interview I did with them. That's been their general demeanour. There was nothing at E-League to suggest that there might be any problems there. This is why I felt comfortable saying it. You know, I just couldn't believe that it would get to this situation. Now, obviously, the issue we've got, and I understand why it exists, Valve have a rule, 3 players hold a major spot, the core of the team, and it's the players over the organizations. Now, you'll remember when we had the issue with SK Gaming, when they got disqualified from moving across, organizations partway through to an org that was already in E-League. Everybody said, but the players have earned that spot, and you're robbing them, and no. So you might have had a point, but then you get situations like this, where now 3 players can effectively hold the other 2 to ransom, can effectively hold an organization to ransom, and something that is there to protect players suddenly becomes something really unpalatable. So let's be clear. The 3 players that have created this situation by being late to a game, right? A player who has created a situation by threatening another professional player's life, they get to go and they keep the major spot. Bolts and Steel, who've been model fucking professionals, gone out, faced the media, tried to explain this fucking madness, they get their major spot taken away from them by 3 people who were like, yeah, we're all bloody mates, aren't we? We're all friends. You've just fucked over 2 hard-working pros that did nothing to deserve it. And of course, this just ties in with this theme of selfishness, which is pretty much the problem. That you've got 3 players in the team who, for all they talk about, it's all about the team. We're all friends, we're all bros. We're all in this together. What you really mean is you'll do whatever's best for you at any given point, and as long as everyone else is equally selfish and your selfishness aligns, you'll go and you'll do that together as a unit. But there's nothing, I'm sure somewhere down the line, fast forward to whatever clusterfuck team they put together. Let's fast forward to a point where one of them or 2 of them or whatever it is, they'll obviously fuck each other over at some point. There'll be something, because people like that always do it. It's not FNX's first fucking go around. If he does join this team, good luck. It's just volatile. It's just a powder keg. You can fucking high-five each other all you want on camera, but we all know how it's going to end, So anyway, I thought this is definitely something that gives pause for thought. Like, there is a real desire, if I was Immortals, right, I got to be honest. And I know Noah won't do this because he's not that kind of guy. He's not vindictive. He's not spiteful. He's to as much as an owner can be. He talks a good game about player rights. I think problematically, as we saw with his involvement in PEA, but I don't think he's a bad stick. I don't think he's a negative element in esports. He's well liked and well regarded, and tries to walk that line. But, a wolf can never truly be concerned about, the sheep. They can't have the sheep's best interests at heart. It's not how the ecosystem works. And I think it's the same for owners and players, honestly, to a certain degree. So what I would be tempted to do here is just be like, look, I'm not going to let you go. You're going to stay here and you're going to honor your contracts. And it's going to be that way until the major comes around. Because let's be clear about what a major represents to an organization. A major is exposure. A major is a shot at a prize pool. Don't forget, organizations usually take a percentage. then you've got the merchandising on top of that, shirt sales, in-game sticker sales, carving out that little slice of esports history for yourself, adding credibility to an organization that doesn't have a long history. It's not a Fnatic, it's not an SK Gaming. It's Immortals, it's relatively new, it's made out of new money. So it's important for them to be at tournaments like the Major, right? Well, if they let Henny and Lucas go, that's done. The rules aren't going to suddenly bend or change. This isn't like ESL, who contextually look at whether or not you keep a Pro League spot. Valve have been very clear in their rule, and I think the rule is fair in 99% of cases. This is the one instance it isn't it? This is the unfortunate worst case scenario for the spirit of that rule, and it makes it look really awful. Again, just to think about Bolts and Steel getting wrecked, and they played their part, and they don't get to play in the Major unless they were able to go through some sort of qualifier or something with whatever team they cobbled together, you know? So I would be genuinely tempted, as petty as it sounds, to just hold them there and be like, look, you know, I can't force you to play, can't put a gun to your head and make you log on to the server, but you're going to be here until the Major rolls around, because we're not losing out on the fucking merchandising and the sticker money and everything else because you can't be professional. That's what I would probably do, because I think someone's got to fucking show a firm hand here. You know me, I'm all about player rights. I've been advocating for fucking player rights the entire time. This bullshit makes a fucking mockery of that, because, again, this is a level of unprofessionalism I can't even fathom. I can't even fathom. You've been treated perfectly reasonably as players. You've had everything you want. You had a great run. You made it to the finals of a Major. Everybody knows you went out drinking the night before that. Everybody knows. Everybody knows there was situations that arose because of that. Everybody knows. Everyone knows. It is the worst kept fucking secret, right? And you went out and you fucking partied and you lost the Major final, and nothing was said. Nobody shit on you. Nobody fucking called you out. Your owners didn't call you out. They must have known. They must have heard. Nobody chewed you up, right? You got away with it once at a fucking Major, right? And then, lo and behold, DreamHack comes around, same shit. You ain't learnt a fucking thing. And you, as far as I can tell, you guys, the two of you, the twins, you haven't actually, because KNG was just so outrageous in his behavior, you've actually kind of got away with it a little bit. Like, nobody's talking about you. No one's talking about how ridiculous it is that a team of your experience and caliber is forfeiting maps because they can't turn up on time. Nobody's talking about that, about you two specifically, because KNG's been such a colossal fuck up. He overshadows everything you're going to do with his just abject stupidity. So, anyway, I can't believe that after how reasonably you've been treated, you then say, hey, we want out of our contracts. We want to leave. Well, that's just like, holy fucking shit, dude. And I guess it ultimately shows that, you know, when you boil it down to its true essence, a lot of the time, players do have the true power. I mean, sure, the orgs have the option to not pay you, but you can always withdraw your labor as a player, can't you? You can't be forced into it. So just when I thought the situation couldn't get more fucking comical and more ridiculous, KNG put a statement out today. I was like, well, this will be good. And let me tell you, it is a unbelievable self-pitying, I don't want to call it fiction. I don't want to call it a work of fiction, but it ain't fucking far off. Here we go. And hopefully he won't threaten to kill me because, I'm challenging his stories. But here it is. You can see it's the official note. I've got a translation here. And we'll just tunnel in on some of the key parts. So the first thing is, he said that he was never told he was suspended from the team, which I find incredibly hard to believe. I mean, I cannot believe that, right? I can't believe that, because I know how Immortals works, and I know how Noah was involved with this. He was managing it remotely right from the second all of these situations arose. There's no way he wasn't told. It just makes no sense. Why wouldn't you tell him? You know, so there's that. That was his first outrageous claim. I mean, fuck that noise. I can't believe it. So he says, they never told me what the punishment would be. Our meeting was supposed to take place after the match against CLG. When I came on the team's group chat, I wrote I was going to play against CLG even if there was lag. After 10 minutes, Steele came to me and said I would not be able to play because I was suspended for a month. I was mad because no one from the organisation told me that. Then they lost the first map, and this is where it gets mind-blowing. And Lucas and Henny told me that I could play because they said they had messaged the general manager, Nick, who had given permission. Now, this is fucking unreal. So these are the bros, right? These are the bros. These are the fucking bros. So Henny and Lucas now, right, lied. So who do you think knows? Steele, you know, kind of like the de facto team captain and spokesperson, you know, Bolts, who's doing the in-game leading, the coach maybe. Do you think these people know? Do you think these people might know if you're suspended or not? I mean, I'm amazed that KNG is still going to say he doesn't know, right? But okay, they're telling you can't play because you're suspended. And then Henny and Lucas come to you after they lose them up and go, oh yeah, we've just bloody got on the phone and that, and yeah, you can play now. It's all been fucking sorted. You don't think to check with anyone. Right? And I'll tell you why Henny and Lucas have done this. I don't give a fuck if you want to call this speculation. It's because they don't want to play for Immortals anymore. So why wouldn't you fucking create little situations? Why wouldn't you create problems? You don't give a fuck. You want out the door. You want to do as much as you possibly can to just get pushed out. So they've deliberately disrupted this and inadvertently created a situation which was the absolute final straw to get KNG out the team. Legendary bros. Love my bros. Like, what is that? I can't even believe I'm recording a video basically saying that pro players lied to another fellow pro on their team in such a way it was the last straw and it got them kicked out of the team, but they don't care because they want to leave. What madness is this? This is like an NA pug team. This is like ESEA Premier shit. It is so stupid. Doesn't end there, right? You go back to the fucking statements that he's making here. So anyway, ignore the epicenter stuff. So he then talks about what happened at DreamHack Montreal, you know, the night before. And he said, Zach, Henny, Lucas and I were playing cards in the Twins' room and talking about the match against CLG. At 1 in the morning, Zach and I went to our room. I'm going to be honest, I could not fall asleep, and I only went to bed at 7, meaning AM. We woke up at 9:30, and we were already late for the match against CLG. After lunch, we decided to get some rest. We were just gloss over that part, I guess. Just gloss over the part where you were late for one game, right? And the reason for this, by the way, he says, is because he was doing lots of traveling because his visa was all fucked up. I mean, dude, have you seen the schedule that players are on? Keep in mind, we've just had a player break, right? So everyone can reset themselves. It's fucking crazy out there. Maybe there's an argument to be said you're playing too many tournaments. That's a conversation you got to have with your owners. But there's just no excuse. Every pro goes through this. You know, we saw a situation where Golden from Fnatic flew out to Atlanta the same day, got off the plane, drove 2 hours across town. He drove across town with 2 hours to spare and jumped straight on the server and played a must-win match against North. Not one gripe out of him. Not one complaint. You know, this was all predicated on the fact we had Hurricane Irma fucking wrecking everybody, you know? So, ridiculous. It's not an excuse. It doesn't wash. I don't care how fucking tired you are. You got to man up and do it. Shit, man, I've done 12, 16-hour days of broadcasts with 2 hours sleep before. It's tough, yeah. I get grouchy. Ask Sir Scoots, right? But at the end of the fucking day, you do your job. He said Zach was really sick, so he fell asleep while Henny went to our room where we watched the other semi-final. Henny also fell asleep while I stayed up, and then Steele messaged us saying that we would play 1 hour after that match. I knew that would be earlier than 5 p.m. I should have stayed up, but I thought I would be able to take a nap and we would have plenty of time because the first map of the semi-final was still being played. Zach and I woke up at 3:30 and we ran to the venue. We got there at 3:40 and for the first time we were late. It was just 5 minutes. It would have been good sense to wait to not ruin the final. Oh well, rules are rules. And again, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. 5 minutes, not buying it, whatever. That's me, not based on what I heard. But here's the problem you've got. You're trying to gloss over the fact you were already late for one game that day. So fuck off. It doesn't make sense. You were already late for one game that day. No sanctions, no map forfeit. You got a warning. I know from talking to people at DreamHack, they said, come on, sort it out. We've got a schedule to respect. And you went and did it again in the next game. Not the next day, not the next tournament, the next fucking game. And you're trying to make out that this is all okay and this is perfectly normal. It's abnormal for teams to be late to call times. It's abnormal. It doesn't happen, right? You've done it twice in a singular day. It's ridiculous. So to try and explain it like that is just absurd. And then, again, he says, we were sad about everything, and we also had to listen to all the jokes about us being drunk. We really like to party. Definitely throw that line in. That'll diffuse the situation. We really like to party, but we did not go out that night. My reaction was obviously an impulsive one because it was a big lie. We were already being criticised for something we had not done. Losing a tournament because you slept in, that is wrong for sure, but losing because you were out drinking, that's a whole different story. I'll ignore the implication that this is somehow DreamHack's fault, you self-pitying idiot. I'll ignore that, right? Because it's not. There's rules, you follow the rules for every team, every individual. I'll just ignore that. That shouldn't need to be said. I think most people grasp that. Here's what I can't fathom, that you're still doubling down on this idea that you didn't go out. Now, I've had, like I say, about 6 to 8 people, all reliable sources, people I trust not to lie and not to gossip, right? I'm not talking about your average player like, like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people I respect. And they all told me, right, that you were out, as in you had drinks in your hands beyond midnight. So the only other explanation for this is that there is a huge conspiracy to make you guys look bad. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. Sure, I wasn't there, but do you know what? I'm going to take the word of that group, you know, that collective group of people who are all independent to each other, who don't even talk to each other in some instances, all saying the same thing over you three guys who are like, oh yeah, we were all in our room playing cards, weren't we? Wink, wink, governor. Meanwhile, your coach has even intimated that you were out and you weren't tucked up in bed and said that you need babysitting at events. So, yeah, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. People saw you. Now, here's the thing. Maybe we got a different definition of partying. Maybe partying is when you go out to fucking, you know, strip clubs and make it rain and all that, right? I mean, most people would consider having a few drinks to be a party. So maybe that's the problem. But I'll tell you this. There is no place for the night before a championship game going out getting drunk. This isn't a small BYOC LAN played with friends for fun. This is you representing an organization with a fan base going to a tournament to win money. You should be tucked up in bed early the night before. I like to fucking party too. There's stories about me that'll blow your tiny minds. But the reality is, when you got a job to do, you go to bed and you wake up and you do the job to the best of your ability. Fuck, when I used to compete, in sports, I didn't like, right lads, big game of rugby tomorrow, so let's go out and get fucking arseholed, yeah? You don't do it, do you? You go to bed, you hydrate, you wake up, you have a light breakfast, you do all these things. These are basic things that any athlete should be doing. It's madness. And then, perhaps crucially, in all of this. You're making a statement. What a good opportunity to put the FNS thing to bed once and for all. You could put the FNS thing to bed once and for all. No apology for FNS still. That's the player you threatened to kill, right? You haven't apologized. You stand by that, all right? So not only that, right, he then also has a go at the Immortals organization in this statement. He says, obviously our relationship was not good after the major. We demanded evaluation that never happened. And then there was Harvey signing, with which most players did not agree. So again, it doesn't lend you any credibility when you say, hey, we were pissed off with the organization because they didn't pay us more money and they signed a backup player we didn't want in the squad. That makes it more likely that you weren't behaving and listening to the instructions of the organization, doesn't it? You've actually released information there that makes any story you come out with less credible. Congratulations. He then criticised Noah on Twitter, saying honour is greater than all. He said, Noah, honour would be you telling me I was suspended, because for me, honour was wearing your team's jersey with all my will and commitment. That's all your will and commitment, where you chose to have a lie-in and sleep over turning up on time to a competitive match. Not once, but twice. If that's your idea of commitment, you shouldn't be a pro player. That's not what commitment sounds like. You know, go ask any professional athlete. Oh yeah, hey Kobe, you were a pretty good basketball player. Yeah, could you ever not be asked? And did you just have a lie in now and then? Yeah, totally did. Fuck training, fuck competition. Said no one ever. Like, completely ridiculous that you're trying to make out that you were a committed professional player. You got unbelievably lucky. You had the opportunity of a lifetime, and you've pissed it away in ridiculous circumstances. And then again, some mad message. He goes, unlike you, Noah, I am not sure to judge you or criticize you. Just like me, you make mistakes, and I wish you all the best for everything you did for us. I mean, I fail to see what Noah's big mistake is here. Unless more information comes out that points to Immortals doing something wrong, then fair enough. And then again, he just ends on about talking about how, because Bolts and Steel went out and did these interviews, I assume referring to the E-League one, where they said they weren't sure if we had gone out or not. He said he thought that was fucked up because they knew we had not gone out. Well, you said yourself you didn't spend time with them that night. Nobody who told me that you were out partying said they saw Bolts and Steel there. Bolts and Steel were on time for all of their games. They didn't know where you were. How on earth, then, could they possibly vouch for what you did? So you are now castigating your teammates for telling the truth, which I think pretty much sums up where you're at mentally, you know? And then for him to even say at the end like he does, he goes, I would really like us to stay together regardless of Immortals' help, which was really big, but only the 7 of us, the players, Zach and our video editor Ricky, know what we went through to get that major spot. Regardless of the organization, we should all stay together. Guys, KNG, dude, it's over. Your values, your beliefs, your approach to the game is fundamentally incompatible with Bolts and Steels. And what's this? You're like hinting at them, ooh, leave your employers and come with us and come take this risk. Why? Why would they? He even says some people prefer Immortals over the team. How is that abnormal? Right? Your weird, wishy-washy, ephemeral values of friendship. It's not a fucking anime. This is professional sports. What, they feel a kinship and an organization. Belonging to an organization that pays them their fucking salary. How bizarre. How strange. What, they should be willing to fucking piss their careers away and come on the good ship KNG, all aboard. Where we headed? Dunno, might be some icebergs around. Like, why would they do that? It's so dumb. The whole statement is it's just mind-blowingly stupid, guys. So, look, what does it mean? I think, like we knew, I think Immortals was fucked. And it's unbelievable because I can't think of a team that finally ascended to its peak form and then just, not based on results, not based on tactics, not based on a meta shift or anything like that. You completely fuck it up over ridiculous things. You want the right to threaten players on Twitter. You want the right to go out and drink the night before finals whenever you want. You want to behave like however you want to behave. You don't want any structure. You don't want any rules. And you want pay rises as well. This is madness. This is the most egotistical, narcissistic collection of players I think I've ever seen. And that's saying something. I've been in esports a long time. I've seen it all. But this is just beyond the pale. So, as I said, unless some more information comes out about Immortals, that's where my sympathies are going to lie. I hope Bolts and Steel fall right, but holy moly, what a clusterfuck this has been. I hope that's the end of it, but I'm sure there'll be a few more twists and turns around the corner. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my thoughts on this particular issue. I will see you on the next video.